In this video, I will talk about inheritance mapping concept in Hibernate. We know the concept of inheritance in Java. Inheritance is about one class extending the properties of another class. To map data from this inheritance hierarchy to a database, Hibernate has provided three strategies. I will be explaining what are the three strategies provided by Hibernate for inheritance mapping. Second, I will be writing an example with annotations for inheritance mapping. Earlier, I used to write mapping files, XML based mapping files. Right now, I will not be writing XML based mapping files. Instead, I will be directly annotating the POJOs. Finally, I will demonstrate a small concept of polymorphic behavior which comes with inheritance mapping. Whenever you do inheritance mapping, you will get something called as polymorphic behavior, which I will be explaining. So the main concept is about understanding the three strategies of inheritance mapping and then getting the code for inheritance mapping by using annotations. Inheritance mapping with annotation. We know the concept of inheritance in Java. Inheritance is a concept in which the child class inherit the property of the superclass. Inheritance is a concept in OOPS. There is no inheritance concept in RDBMS. Inheritance is a very widely used concept in object-oriented programming, but there is no concept of inheritance in RDBMS. Inheritance is called as is a relationship. Database supports something called as has a relationship. Database doesn't support inheritance or is a relationship. Database doesn't support is a relationship, it only supports has a relationship. So what you are going to do now? In Java, you often have classes which inherit from some other class. So you'll have data which is available in the superclass, and then you'll have data which is available in the subclasses also. How you are going to store this data in the database? Database doesn't have any direct inheritance concepts, but still we need some approach to store this data in the database. For that, Hibernate has provided three strategies. To persist data from inheritance hierarchy into a database, Hibernate has provided three strategies. One is called as the single table strategy, means the data from the whole hierarchy, all the data, Hibernate will try to store in a single table. The data from all the classes in the hierarchy, Hibernate will try to store the data in a single table. That is called as single table strategy. Otherwise, we have one more strategy that is called as table per class strategy. Data from each and every class is stored in a separate table. Data corresponding to each of the inheritance hierarchy class will be stored in separate table. That is called as table per class strategy. Table per class strategy and the join strategy are almost similar. But in join table, there will be foreign key relationships. So Hibernate has provided one approach, that is to store all the data in the whole hierarchy in a single table, or to use separate tables corresponding to each class, or to store data in separate tables along with joins. These are the three strategies provided. Now, as I told, since RDBMS doesn't have any concept of inheritance, we cannot create tables with inheritance. So in Eclipse, you cannot do any reverse engineering here. Since reverse engineering is not possible, I am not going to write mapping files. Writing mapping files, that is, writing such XML file is a very tedious process, and it's almost impossible for me to write XML right now. So what I'm going to do now is, I don't want to write mapping files, I'll use annotation based approach. For this particular example, I'll be using only annotation based approach. Rather than writing the stupid XML files, I'll better annotate my Java programs. So with that, I've made my life more easy by using the concept of annotations. I simply have to only use 3 annotations. One is called as inheritance annotation with single table strategy. Another is called as inheritance annotation with table per class strategy. Another is called as inheritance annotation with join strategy. I only have to use any of these annotation, single table strategy annotation or table per class strategy annotation or joined strategy annotation. That's all. If I am able to write some Java programs and annotate, with that I'll be done with inheritance mapping in Hibernate. Now I will try to understand these 3 strategies by taking an inheritance hierarchy. I'll take a Java application with some inheritance hierarchy and then I will try to understand these 3 strategies for mapping. The example consists of a superclass called as person class with 2 fields, person ID and person name, and then 2 child classes. One is the employee class which extends person with 2 fields, salary and bank account. Another is a student class which extends person with 2 fields, roll number and school class. This is the hierarchy what I am having now. The superclass is the person class with 2 fields, person ID and person name. We have employee class extending person class, it's a subclass. Another is student class extending person class, it's a subclass. This is the inheritance hierarchy what we have. Now if you want to persist the data from the person class, the data from employee class or the data from student class, when we talk about storing the data from this inheritance hierarchy into the database, you have to choose any one of the 3 strategies. The single table strategy, the table per class strategy or the joined strategy. To begin with, I'll explain the single table strategy, how the data will be stored in a single table. We'll have one table to store the data from all these 3 classes. The name of the table is the person table which contains all these field columns. As you see, we have a single table which contains person related fields, employee related fields and student related fields. Now, when you store an employee object, how will you know that you have stored an employee object? Or when you store a student object, how will you know that you have stored a student object? Or when you store a person object, how will you know that you have stored a person object? So Hibernate needs some mechanism to understand what object you have stored. So Hibernate needs one more column, say by name type. This is called as the discriminator column. This is the main concept here. In the single table strategy, you will have something called as a discriminator column. Discriminator, a column which identifies what type of data you are going to store. So in this column, you may insert data that you are inserting a person class or you are inserting an EMP class or you are inserting a student class. That is single table strategy. You will have a single table. Data from the whole hierarchy is inserted into a single table with a type column. That is a discriminator column to discriminate what type of object is being inserted into the table. With that, I completed the first strategy, that is the single table strategy, table per hierarchy strategy. For the whole hierarchy, you will have one single table. Next strategy is called as table per class strategy. Next strategy is called as table per class strategy. We have 3 classes, so you'll have 3 tables. Say I have a person table to store person related data. Then I have an EMP table to store EMP related data. And then we have a table, student STU table, to store student related data. So now whenever the client tries to insert person object, that will have 2 fields, person ID and person name. Those will be the columns in the person table. So we have the person table with person ID and person name columns. Now when the client tries to store an employee object, an employee object will have not only employee related fields, it will have common fields also. When I try to store an employee object, I may have person ID column data, I may have person name data, and then I may have salary data, and then I may have bank account data. The person ID, person name, salary, and bank account. This is the employee table structure. If somebody stores a person object, it will have only person ID and person name. Somebody storing employee object may have person ID, person name, along with that employee fields, salary and bank account. Somebody storing student object, that will have person ID, person name, that is common fields, and then student related fields, roll number and school class. So you create a table with these 4 columns. This is called as table per class strategy. This is the second thing. It is called as table per class strategy. We have 3 classes, so we have 3 tables. Some people do not like this approach because you see that person ID, person name columns are repeated again and again. In the student class, we have person ID, person name columns repeated. In the employee table also, we have person ID, person name column repeated. So person ID, person name, that is the common columns are repeated in every other tables. So some people don't like this approach. So we have one more similar approach wherein you avoid these common repeating things by creating foreign keys. In the last approach, everything looks almost same as the current approach, except avoiding these common fields again and again by creating foreign keys. Now the last strategy is the join strategy. What will happen here is we will have 3 tables as usual. First, you have the person table with person ID, person name. That was the person table with person ID, person name. And then we'll have employee table as usual, corresponding to employee class. Here you will have salary, you will have a bank account, you will have person ID. You will not have person name. You will not have person name. So we'll have employee table with salary, bank account, and person ID. Person ID will be marked as foreign key in the employee table. In the employee table, person ID will be marked as foreign key. Data for that will come from person table, person ID column. Next we have student table. We'll have student related fields, roll number, school class. From the parent class, you don't have to repeat all the fields. You don't have to repeat person name and everything. You only need the person ID column here also. So now we have the student class with roll number, school class, and person ID. Person ID will be foreign key. Data for that will come from primary key of person table. This is called as the strategy 3, join strategy. So table per class strategy and join strategy looks almost similar. The difference is you do not want to repeat the person name field and other fields of the person class again and again. So we have created something called as foreign key relationship. So using foreign key, you can retrieve person name from the person class. Employee class has only employee related fields and the foreign key to fetch the parent data. And then we have student table with only student related fields and a foreign key to fetch the common person related data. With that, I completed the 3 strategies. Once again, I am repeating. In single table strategy, to store all the data, you have just one single table. Now, how will you identify what type of object is being stored? To discriminate that, you will have one separate column called as discriminator column, wherein Hibernate will be automatically inserting what type of object you are storing. That data will be inserted in the discriminator column. Second strategy is called as table per class strategy. Corresponding to every class, you just go and create a table with all the fields from that particular classes. Person related fields, employee related fields, and then the common person related fields, student related fields, and then the common person related fields, all the fields. Since all the person related fields are again and again repeated in EMP and student, if you don't want to do that, you can use the join strategy. Here also you'll have 3 tables as you see, but you have foreign key relationship. Employee table has employee related fields, student table have student related fields, and then foreign keys. These foreign keys relate to the parent class to fetch the common data belonging to the person. Now I will show you how to work with inheritance mapping in Hibernate. Mapping files, as I told, it is not so easy to write. So I'm going with annotation based approach. As I told, reverse engineering and code generation is not possible here because there is no inheritance concept in RDBMS. So what I'm going to do is I am going to write some Java inheritance program myself. So write some Java inheritance program yourself and just annotate with inheritance annotation. That's all. So overall, this is the approach what I'm going to follow. I'm going to write some Java inheritance program myself and annotate with inheritance annotation. The good thing is at least I do not have to create tables. Tables can be auto generated for all the 3 strategies. So this is a very important thing. It's not so easy to sit and create the tables for the 3 strategies. So we do not have any energy right now to sit and create the 3 type of tables. So what I'm going to do is I'm just only going to put some annotations. So write some Java programs and put some annotations. That's all. A table can be auto generated for all the 3 strategies. Tables can be automatically created by Hibernate for the single table strategy, for the table per class strategy, or for the join strategy. Now this is the step-by-step procedure which I am going to follow. You also can follow this same procedure to get the code running. Concept-wise, it is very simple. This is the step-by-step procedure. You follow it as it is so that you will have all the code. You can make it running. Step 1, I call it as the project setting as usual. So as usual, create a Java project, add Hibernate and MySQL jars. This is a completely manual example. I am not going to make use of any of Eclipse features. So I'll try to either copy paste whatever is required or I'll try to code it myself. So to begin with, I'm doing the project settings. You create a simple Java project, add the jar files, then you copy paste Hibernate configuration file from somewhere with the database settings. So you know that prior to doing this, you should have some database running. You should have some database created. So copy paste the Hibernate configuration file. Also copy paste session factory from somewhere. So with that we have completed the project setting. Creating project, adding jars, having the Hibernate configuration file ready, having the session factory for annotations because I'm working with annotation approach. That also ready. And a very important thing here is to add one property in Hibernate configuration file. Name of the property is hibernate.hbm2ddl.auto. So when I put this, I am saying to automatically generate required table. So this particular line will auto generate tables. Hibernate will automatically generate tables, whatever is required. Step 2 is the ORM setting for inheritance. This is the main concept, inheritance mapping. As we see, project setting is just the regular thing, nothing much about it. Client program is just the regular thing, nothing much about it. So the main thing is about ORM setting for inheritance. As I told, since reverse engineering is not possible, I am going to write the POJOs, the person class, the employee class, student class, and just put some inheritance annotations. Later, you add those mapping classes in the Hibernate configuration file. So just write your POJOs, person, employee, student with inheritance annotations. Since we don't have mapping files this time, you have mapping classes only. Load those mapping classes in the Hibernate configuration file. Now I'll show you how the code will look with annotations. The person, employee, student. So how it is going to look with annotations. It's very simple. We have the person class, employee class, student class. You know that any class which has to be persisted in the table, you must annotate with entity annotation. The person is marked an entity. Employee is also marked an entity. Student is also marked an entity. So what is new is just this small thing, inheritance. So this is part of the inheritance hierarchy. Employee extends person. So we have this inheritance. Student extends person. So put this annotation, inheritance. And then we have ID, which represents the primary key column. Person ID is the primary key column. That's all about inheritance mapping. You just annotate your POJOs with inheritance annotation. And then load the above classes in the Hibernate configuration file. Normally in the Hibernate configuration file, we used to load mapping files. Now we have mapping classes. So load those mapping classes. That's all about ORM setting for inheritance mapping. Have the POJOs with annotation and load those POJOs in the configuration file. Now you will be able to store employee objects, you will be able to store student objects, you will be able to store person object. You can store any type of data. As usual, this is the client program. So here I am trying to store an employee related data. We are trying to store employee object, which has got person ID field, person named field, salary field, bank account field. So likewise, we can store student object. Not only we can store data, we can also retrieve the data by using get method, load method, etc. That time you may get something called as polymorphic behavior. So once we are done with ORM setting, when you write the client program, you should know how to store different type of objects, and you should be aware of the polymorphic behavior when you try to retrieve the data, the polymorphic behavior. Once again, I'll repeat the three steps. Step 1, as I told, is the project setting, the usual thing what we used to do. Have some project, have the jar files, have the Hibernate configuration file, have the session factory. Also, you don't forget to add a new property. This property is to automatically generate tables. Earlier I used to create tables and reverse engineer. Now, since reverse engineering is not possible, I will at least try to have the tables get created automatically. So if you have the mapping, from the mapping it is possible to create tables. From tables it is possible to create mapping. Similarly, from mapping it's possible to create tables. So second is the ORM mapping, which we are going to do it ourselves. So have a person class, employee class, student class with inheritance mapping. That is a step 2. So just go and put those annotations. With that we are doing mapping. Now with this mapping, Hibernate can automatically create tables. Earlier from tables, Hibernate used to automatically create mapping. For the first time, now from the mapping classes or mapping files, whatever we have, Hibernate can automatically create tables. Now from the mapping classes, Hibernate will automatically create tables. Step 3 is the client program as usual. This is the code, whatever you are going to write. ORM code, the person class with annotation, the employee class with annotation, student class with annotation. So have all these files ready, copy paste and make it running. Put these three programs, load the three classes into the Hibernate configuration file. These three classes are within a package, inheritance demo package, I assume. So write these programs, have the configuration file proper, and then these client programs as usual. Now I'll open Eclipse, put these files as per the procedure. What I told, you put the files in Eclipse and make the code running in Eclipse. It's a very simple thing to do. Now I know the step 1, that is to create the project, adding jar files, having Hibernate configuration file and session factory. I create a simple Java project. Here I do everything manually. I name the project as inheritance demo. Click on finish. Now we have the project ready. As usual, go to build path, configure build path, add external jars and add Hibernate jars and MySQL jar. Add all the jars in the Hibernate required folder. I'm in step 1. It's about creating the project, adding the jar files, and then having the configuration file, the Hibernate configuration file and the session factory. Hibernate configuration file, I had some earlier files. I'll just copy and paste here. The session factory also, I had some earlier session factory for annotations. I'll copy and paste the same thing here. With that, I completed the step 1. It's about having a simple Java project, adding Hibernate jars. We have already added Hibernate jars. Configuration file, just copy and paste from somewhere. Session factory, just copy and paste from somewhere. This is the session factory I copy pasted for annotations. Annotation configuration, because I'm working with annotations. And then we have the Hibernate configuration file. It is just the usual file. It connects to a database called as August 28 database. This is the database which I am going to use. Tables, as I told, I am not going to create the tables. The tables will be automatically created for any of the three strategies by Hibernate. Hibernate can automatically create tables for any of the three strategies as and when required in this August 28 database. When I copy pasted, we have a lot of unnecessary things copied. I just delete it. These are from my earlier project. I deleted. So keep the Hibernate configuration file clean and neat. The connection parameters and then show SQL to true. The most important thing in the Hibernate configuration file is you should add this property. Hibernate HBM to DDL. From mapping, automatically tables will be created. Data descriptor language. Hibernate mapping to DDL auto create means Hibernate can automatically create tables based on the mapping, whatever I am going to do. Since I cannot do reverse engineering from table, from mapping, I am trying to automatically create tables. That will make my life very easy. With that, I completed the project setting. Most important thing to remember is this property. Next, I have to do ORM, Object Relational Mapping setting. Project is ready, jar files are added, configuration file is ready, session factory is ready. This is the ORM setting for inheritance. Write the person class, write the employee class, write the student class, put these annotations and add these classes in the Hibernate configuration file. It's a very easy thing to do. Just write the three programs, put these annotations. Do it exactly as here. The person class you write, employee class, student class. First I write the person class, that's a super class. I'll keep all these files in a package. It's not necessary to keep the things in a package, but still I'll keep it in a package. I'll keep all this in a package called as inheritance demo package. So the first program is the person class. You mark it as an entity. Entity is an object which will be persisted in the database. Now we have two fields, person ID and person name. Next class is the employee class. With two fields, salary and bank account. This also has to be persisted, so you mark it with entity annotation. The last class is the student class. This is part of inheritance. It extends person class. Mark it with entity annotation. It has got two fields, roll number and class. Here also you must extend person class. Now we have everything ready. The person class with two fields to persist, employee class with two fields to persist, and student class with two fields to persist. Now it's time to do inheritance mapping. You only have to do just one thing. Just go and put inheritance annotation here, also here, and also here. Just go and put inheritance annotations everywhere. What is the strategy we are going to follow now? The default strategy, if you don't mention anything, the default strategy is single table strategy. One single table will be automatically generated by Hibernate to store data from all these three classes, with one more additional column called as discriminator column to discriminate different type of objects: person, employee, or student. Now everything is ready. Just load these classes in the Hibernate configuration file. Load these three mapping classes in the Hibernate configuration file. Open Hibernate configuration file. This is a session factory view in the configuration file. Go and load the mapping classes. Add the mapping classes. Mapping class. Earlier we used to load mapping resource. Now you load the mapping class. Load the person class. Also load the employee class. Also load the student class. Click on the source. You can see that we have the three classes loaded: person, employee, student. Now if you see here also, it is HBM to DDL auto is create, means whenever I try to perform any operation from the client, say I try to insert data or do operation on these objects, if the corresponding tables are not there, it will be automatically created. Now everything is ready. Project is ready. ORM is ready. The person class, employee class, student class. So this is the only thing. ORM setting is the only thing. Now we understood how to do ORM setting for inheritance. The person class, employee class, student class with annotations. Now just go and write a client program as usual to insert either a person data or employee data or student data. It's over now. Everything is over. Just go and write client programs. First I'll try to insert data. As usual, open the session, close the session. As usual, begin the transaction, commit the transaction. Now I will try to first of all insert some employee object data. So it's over now. I am trying to save an employee object. Still now I have not created any database table. So the main challenge is, once I run the program, I want the table to be automatically generated and data to be inserted. I go and start my database. Still now it's not started. I don't have the tables also. I go to my database, that is August 28 database. Still now we don't have this kind of tables created. I want that to be automatically created. Now you right click and run the program as usual. When I run the program, I am getting an exception. No identifier specified for entity person. What I understood is there is no primary key defined. Without primary key, you cannot do anything in Hibernate. I forgot to add a primary key for the person class. On top of person ID, you put ID annotation. ID represents the primary key column. That's a mistake I done. So correct it. On top of person ID, you put ID annotation. Now I run the client program once again. See a lot of things happening. Hibernate is dropping table if exist person table and creating a new table. Still now we don't have a table. You can see that Hibernate is very nicely creating a table with person ID column, person name column, bank account column, salary column, roll number column, student class column, and then person ID is marked as primary. Person ID is marked as primary. So that is the single table strategy, and data has been inserted into the person table. Now if I check here, a person table is created. If you look at the table structure, we have a discriminator column, we have person ID column, person name, bank account, salary, roll number. Discriminator is the most important column. You can see that all the student related fields are empty now because currently I am storing employee. Discriminator, it is marked as EMP because I am storing employee data. Now the table is created, it looks perfect. I don't want that table to get spoiled. So you comment this, otherwise the table will get dropped next time. Now I go to the client program. We already have some employee data inserted. Now I'll try to insert some student data. Table is already created last time. I have carefully commented that line which creates table. This time data will be inserted into the same table for student. When I run the program, you can see that data is inserted into the person table. Person name, roll number, student class. The discriminator is marked as student. The discriminator is marked as student. Now I can check the table once again. Right now, employee related fields are null. Bank account is null, salary is null. Student related fields are available. Roll number, student class. Discriminator is marked as STU. Still now I am storing data from subclasses. Now I am trying to store data from the superclass. Superclass has only two fields, person ID and person name. When I run the program, you look at the SQL query. Data has been inserted into the person table. Person ID is inserted, person name is inserted, discriminator is marked as person. With that, we have successfully completed the client for inserting data. You see that I am able to insert employee data, discriminator is marked as employee. I am able to store student data, discriminator is marked as STU. I am trying to store person data directly, discriminator is marked as person. So Hibernate knows exactly what type of data it is storing. So when you read the data later, you'll get the same type of data what you inserted. If you look for person ID 1, you will get employee object. If you look for person ID 2, you will get student object. If you look for person ID 3, you will get person object because Hibernate clearly knows what type of data you have stored with the help of the discriminate. So once again, I browse the data, see how it looks now. Person ID, person name available. For the third data what I inserted, bank account, salary, roll number, class is empty. You can see the discriminators mainly. Employee is one discriminator, student is one discriminator, person is one discriminator. Now I'll write get method. I'll try to read the data whatever I've inserted. As usual, open the session, close the session. Now you do a get operation. I am trying to read person ID 1. I try to print that object. You see the output. Some data is getting read. And if you look at the object, it says that it's a employee object. I am looking for person ID 1, but to be more specific, it's actually employee object, which is of type person. Now I am looking for person ID 2. When I run, you see that it prints as student. Now I look for person ID 3. When I run, you see that it prints person object. What do you understand from this? That this is a polymorphic behavior. Different times you get different objects. Sometimes you get student object, so the person behavior is going to be of type student. Sometimes you are going to get employee object, so the person's behavior is of type employee. Sometimes you are going to get person object itself, so the behavior is going to be of type person. We don't know. It depends on what data is getting read. Sometimes suddenly person object is coming, sometimes suddenly employee object is coming, sometimes suddenly student object is coming. You call this as polymorphic behavior. So you should be knowing that whenever you do inheritance mapping, when you read the data using get method or load method, you will get polymorphic behavior because you get different type of objects: employee, student, person. So with that, I completed single table strategy. If you don't mention anything, it is taken as single table strategy. Now the Java program, everything will remain as it is. Only the table structure is going to change. For table per class strategy, you just change the annotation to table per class. Or later, you can change the annotation to join strategy. So change the annotation, based on that the table structure will change. The client programs are not going to change. Nothing is going to change other than these annotations and the tables. So I am almost done now. One single table strategy is done. Within another 5 minutes, I will be able to complete table per class strategy and join strategy. So everything is same concept wise. You just change the annotations, the tables will change. That's all. So I go open the programs and change the annotation. So go to the inheritance. The default strategy was single table strategy. The default was single table. Now I change that to table per class strategy. Here also you change it. Table per class strategy. Here also table per class strategy. Now we are trying to modify the table structure. The previous structure is of no use now. We have studied the first strategy, so it is time to drop that table and create new tables. So earlier we had just one table with all the data. We don't want that now. Right now we are in the process of studying table per class strategy. So we want Hibernate to drop the previous table and create new table. So you open the Hibernate configuration file and enable this property once again, because we want the tables to be recreated. We want 3 tables to be created now: the person table, the employee table, student table, and data to be inserted. There is no change in the client program. The client program will remain as it is before. So enable the table creation script and then open the client program and run it as usual. There is no change in the client program. When I run the client program, table will be automatically created. So as usual, first I will try to store employee data. The data will be inserted into employee table separately because we have 3 tables. And then I try to insert student data. Data will be inserted into student table. And then I am trying to insert person data. Data will be inserted into person table. As we know, the strategy I am learning right now is table per class strategy. So we have three classes. So Hibernate will be creating three tables. So the previous tables all will be dropped now, and you'll see that new tables are getting created. You can see that the previous tables, if anything is existing, it's all dropped. Now we see that three new tables are created: employee table, person table, student table. Carefully look at it. Person table has got person ID, person name, and a primary key field. Employee table has got person ID, person name, bank account, salary. Person ID is marked as primary key. Every table has a primary key, as you can see. Student table. Person ID is marked as primary key, person name, and then it has roll number and student class. So we have employee, person, student, all the three tables created, like what I explained before. And then data has been inserted. Employee data into employee table, student data into student table, person data into person table. So what we have done as of now is nothing. I have only just changed the strategy annotation. This is the only thing I have done. In all the three programs, I have changed. In the person class, I have changed the strategy. In the employee class, I have changed the strategy. Also in the student class, I have changed the strategy. That is the only thing you have to do. After that, you go have a look at the tables, how it looks. So just change the strategy in the three classes: person class, student class, employee class. Run the client program once again and see how the new tables are looking and how data is being inserted. There is no change in the client program at all. Client program remains same as before. Whatever is the strategy, client program remains same. Now you can see that data has been inserted into the three tables. When I try to store person object, data has been inserted into person table. When I try to store student object, data has been inserted into student table. Student table also have the same columns: person ID, person name, and student related fields, roll number and student class. When I store data into employee object, data has been inserted into employee table. Employee table also has the same fields: person ID, person name, and then employee related fields, bank account and salary. So we have three tables corresponding to the three classes. Every time you insert data, data will go into appropriate tables: person, employee, student. As we can see, tables are all auto generated. You only have to just change the strategy. The client program remains same as usual. There is no change in the client program. Now I'll try to read the data. There is no change in the get client. It is as usual. You'll get polymorphic behavior. So go and comment this property. Now I want to do get operations. So comment this property. Now I do get operation again. When I look for person ID 1, I get employee object. When I look for person ID 2, I don't know what I'm going to get. I'm getting student object. Now when I look for person ID 3, I don't know what I'm going to get. I am getting a person object itself. So you see that suddenly I'm getting employee, suddenly I'm getting student, suddenly I'm getting person, and their behavior is going to be same. So this is a polymorphic behavior. As usual, there is no change in the client program. Everything remain as it is for the strategy 1, strategy 2. Now I'm going to the strategy 3. There is no change in client program. There is no change in anything. So there is no change in the client program, whatever is the strategy you use. Now the third strategy. The third strategy is the join strategy. Just go and change the strategy to joined. Now just go and open the programs, change the strategy to joined. Joined also will have three tables, but with foreign key relationship. Change the strategy to joined. Now we have to drop and recreate the table once again. We have to drop and recreate the table once again. So enable this particular line. So go to the Hibernate configuration file and enable this for table creation. Enable this for table creation. That's all, we are done now. Change the strategy to join strategy in all the three programs. Enable the table creation. Now we go and run the client program as usual. The tables are dropped and new tables are created with the new strategy. It is the same client program. There is no change in the client program. It remains as it is. Employee object creation, student object creation, person object creation. Save the data. Employee, student, person. Now you run the program. You see what happens. All the three tables, whatever is existing, are all dropped. The previous tables are all dropped. New tables are created. You can see carefully. The employee table, the person table, the student table. The person table has person ID, person name, and then the primary key, that is person ID. The employee table has employee related fields, that is bank account, salary, and then it has got a person ID, which is marked as primary key. Person name field is not repeated here. Then we have the student table, which has got a roll number, student class, person ID. Student class, roll number, person ID. Person ID is marked as primary key here. And then we have two foreign keys. This person ID, that is the primary key here, it is marked as a foreign key also. You see that we have two foreign keys created. So we have two foreign keys created, one in the employee table, another in the student table. Employee table has got a foreign key called as person ID, which is a primary key as well as a foreign key. Student class has got a foreign key called as person ID, which is a primary key as well as foreign key. Data for that will come from person table, person ID column. Data for this also will come from person table, person ID column. So we have not done anything much. As you know, creating these tables are not going to be an easy work. So Hibernate itself has struggled and created all these tables. It has created tables with primary keys, foreign keys, everything in place. Now data has been inserted into the person table, into the employee table, into the person table, and into the relationships. As we know, we have not done any changes in the client program. It remains same from beginning. Now I can look at the tables, how it looks and the data within the table. This is how the data is looking in the three tables. We have the concept of primary key, foreign key relationship. So when we insert any data, data is inserted into the person table. So person ID 1, person ID 2, person ID 3. The common data, person ID and person name, they are common fields. That is inserted into the person table. Person name field is not repeated again. Every person has a name. Employee also has a name. Student also has a name, but that is not repeated in the child tables. So we have now the employee table, which has got only employee related fields, bank account, salary, and then we have person ID here also, that is the foreign key relationship. Now I go to the student table. that also has student related fields only, that is roll number, student class, and then it has got the person id, that is the foreign key. It's a primary key as well as foreign key. The data for that will come from the primary key of another table. The data for this foreign key also will come from the primary key of another table. So like this, data has been inserted. All the data is inserted into the person table, and employee related data is inserted into employee table. Student related data is inserted into student table. So the main concept in joined is the concept of foreign keys. So person ID here is foreign key and primary key. In the student table also, person ID is the foreign key as well as primary key. So in the student table we have a foreign key, in the employee table we have a foreign key. So data for that foreign key will come from person table, person ID column. So this is the foreign key relationship. Data for that will come from person table, person ID column. This is also a foreign key relationship. Data for that will come from person table, person ID column. So this is all the headache of Hibernate. You do not have to worry about it. You just put the annotation and forget about it. Once you put the annotation, Hibernate will create tables and insert data into appropriate tables. Now we have inserted data successfully. Now it's time to read the data. Before reading the data, you should do something very carefully. Once the table is created, immediately go and remove this line. Once the table is created, immediately you remove this line. Otherwise, the table will get dropped again. Still, the next time when you want to drop and recreate the table, you should keep this commented. Otherwise, the existing tables will go along with the data. Now we go and run the client program. As usual, you will get polymorphic behavior. Nothing big about it. When I look for person ID 1, I don't know what data I am going to get. I am getting employee option. When I look for person ID 2, I don't know what data I am going to get. I am getting a student object. When I look for person ID 3, I don't know what object I am going to get. I am getting a person object. This is called as a polymorphic behavior. Whenever you do inheritance mapping, using any strategy, you will get a polymorphic behavior. With that, I have completed inheritance mapping, the 3 strategies. We have nothing much to do. Only thing is to annotate the POJOs properly. Inheritance mapping is not so difficult. It is just a very easy thing if you go with annotations. These are the only things. When you write POJOs, you just annotate. So we have the person class with inheritance annotation, employee class with inheritance annotation, student class with inheritance annotation. This is with respect to ORM, object relational mapping, for inheritance. Now if you are doing this, Hibernate can automatically create the tables. For that you should put, whenever you want to drop and recreate the table, you just put this line in the Hibernate configuration file. So this is for table generation. Finally, it's a client program. Whenever you do save operations or any operations, you will be using the session factory. The session factory will be reading the Hibernate configuration file. That time, these tables will be automatically generated. So your responsibility is only to write these programs with annotations. Tables will be automatically created when you run the client programs. Once again, I'm repeating the same thing. Follow the 3 steps. Do the project setting. Do the ORM setting like what I've done. Most of it is all manually written code without any help from Eclipse. but Hibernate can automatically generate tables. So we have done project setting, ORM setting, the client program I have written for inserting as well as for reading data. So this is the final things what we had. The POJOs annotated with different strategies and load these things in the Hibernate configuration. Client program remains same for inserting as well as for reading for all the three strategies. These were the three strategies. In the single table strategy, one table with discriminator. Table per class strategy, we have three tables for person, for employee, for student. In the joint strategy also we have three tables for person, for employee, for student. Only thing is we have a foreign key relationship created by Hibernate, so that you don't have to repeat all the columns again and again. Here the person ID, person name, you can see that all the person related columns are repeated again. Person name, here also person name repeated. In joint strategy, person name is not repeated because the data will be retrieved with the foreign key relationship, and person ID is repeated because that is made as the foreign key column. So this is how the tables are created. So which strategy is the best strategy? We cannot say about that. That depends on normalization concepts. So a person who designs the database, he decides which kind of table structure he wants. Based on the table structure, what is desirable for you, you can choose appropriate strategy. So what kind of table structure is preferred among these three structures? That is part of database concepts. That's not the agenda of this class. So here only you have to understand how to choose your strategy based on the tables what you need. So end of this class we understood that we have three kind of structures or strategies for Hibernate. We understood how to do the coding for inheritance mapping. It's very easy to do with annotations. Also we should realize that when you do get operations, you will get polymorphic behavior.